In this video, we're going to take a look at the SAS Output Delivery System, or ODS. And what the SAS ODS statement allows you to do is to create non-SAS files which contain the results of SAS functions and statements. So we're going to do that now, and we're going to be specifically concerning ourselves with creating a PDF document. So we're going to be creating a PDF document which contains the results of some SAS analysis that would otherwise only be contained within our results portion of our SAS user interface. So much of this code here is notation. So don't get too intimidated by what's going on. And the code will be actually in the info for this video. So go ahead and take a look at that after watching the video, or take a look at it now and read along. But much of this is just commentary and notation to try to clear up what's going on, because there's a lot of different options which you can enable or disable, for that matter, as it pertains to your output file. So first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to disable the ODS output from opening files as they're generated. So I'll show you how to do this and then explain why we're doing it. So what we're going to need to do is go to the option. We go to Tools up here. So it's the fourth menu dropdown, 1, 2, 3, 4, Tools. Okay. Then we're going to go to Options. And then we're going to go to Preferences. Now select the tab Results. And if this box here is checked, which it should be by default, uncheck it. So it'll look like that. Make sure you give it a click so it's unchecked. And once that's done, click OK. And what that will do is, as you're generating your results in the left-hand portion of the SAS user interface, the results will actually be popped up to the forefront. So if you're working on a SAS session and you're generating results, every time you generate results, they're going to pop up and interrupt your session. Now, if you want that to be disabled, go ahead and follow the steps that we had just embarked upon, and that will stop that from occurring. Now, this can be useful if you're creating multiple output documents or files, and you don't want to have it continuously as your documents are created, have them popped up in front of your face. So I will go ahead and perform this step. And then if you like, when you're complete your ODS utilization, you can then go ahead and re-enable it. But I would just disable it now, because again, just as your results are generated every time you create them in SAS, as you're creating documents, so say you're creating 6 documents using the ODS statement, every time you create a new document, whether it be a PDF or a Word document or an XML, it will pop up. And so you'll have to close all those files. So you'll create the one, it'll pop up, you have to close it. Next one will be generated, you'll have to close that, and so on and so forth. So this is a way of avoiding having that occur. Next, what you're going to want to do is, if you're running a proc frequency function, or really any function, you'll have, every time you'll run that function, you'll have proc FREQ procedure appear above the table which you've created, or the proc tabulator, whatever it may be. And we've went over how to disable this in the video where we talked exclusively about proc FREQ. So this right here will keep the FREQ procedure from appearing above every proc frequency table which you create in your output. This turns off the date and time from appearing in your PDF document, which is, it's just messy, and it clutters everything up and it looks amateurish. So go ahead and disable this as well. So if you're creating a PDF, go ahead and run these options. You only need to run them once, but you have to run them once per SAS session, because they'll be disabled at the beginning of your next session. So now we're getting down to the actual ODS functionality. So we've gone ahead and we don't want each report coming up as we create it. We don't want the FREQ procedure being generated above every frequency output table that we create. And we don't want date and page numbering to be enabled by default. So we're going ahead and disabling that. But now as it pertains to the actual procedure, this is what we have going on here. So ODS, obviously, which stands for the SAS Output Delivery System. PDF is the type of file which we'd like to create. And then we want that file to be created in this particular directory. So our directory that we're utilizing is C users, and then the name of our file is going to be test.pdf. So you can call this whatever you'd like as it pertains to your utilization of the ODS statement. If this is, say, a quarterly document, you could call it quarterly document.pdf, but make sure that whatever you utilize for your file name, that you adhere to the file name standards, and then you end it with .pdf. And this right here, this directory location, change that to whatever the appropriate directory is for your utilization. Some other options that we're going to be disabling, we want to not have PDF bookmarks automatically generated as we create our output. If this is left on, what will happen is every table that you create within your PDF file is going to have a bookmark, which is, if you're familiar with how PDFs function, you'll have an entry on the left-hand side which bookmarks every output that you create in your PDF document. No start page means that if you do not disable this, as it's enabled by default, every time you create or generate a new table within your ODS output, it'll be given a new page for the PDF. So say we're only creating one output, one table, but if we were to have multiple tables and this was not specified, every table we create within our ODS for the PDF will have its own page. So if you have 3 FREQ procedures being utilized, each procedural output would have its own page in the PDF. And depending on the size of the PDF outputs and depending on the whether or not they're interrelated, it can get messy. So you're going to want to have this disabled from the get-go. Title 1, Title 2, what this does is, by default, you're also going to have the SAS system will be displayed above your tables. So you're going to have the SAS system by default will be displayed. And then you'll also have, had you not turned it off, the FREQ procedure will be displayed. And there's no reason to have this displayed by default. You'll get questions as to why it's in your report. So go ahead and get that disabled by putting Title 1 semicolon and Title 2 semicolon within your ODS statement. So here's the initial statement. We're specifying options that we'd like to have disabled. We're disabling the SAS system from displaying above our initial output. And then we're finally getting around to performing our frequency procedure. So we had used this particular table in a prior exercise, so I thought, well, we might as well use it again. So what we're going to do is we're going to use procfreq data equals the data frame as it exists in our work library. We're then going to look at gender as our variable, and we don't want cumulative results generated. So we're specifying /nocum. If you need a refresher on this, take a look at the FREQ video and then go ahead and run that. So this will generate, but we want to now, because we disabled it initially, we want to have a new page created. So if we went ahead and had start page no as a option, which we disabled, every time we want to go to have our output on a new page, we have to say ODS PDF start page equals now. So we could have, say we want to perform this 3 times. Well, this will all be on one page. And then if we wanted a new page, we would put this here, and then whatever our next procedure was for as far as output's concerned. However, if we wanted to have each proc frequency as its own separate output, we would do it like that. And then in this case, we would have our first page, our second page, and then this would be our third page. So each proc frequency output would be on its own page. So let's go ahead. We just have our one output. And then once we've performed or created the output that we'd like to have contained within our document, this is telling SAS to begin creating a document. This is what we're going to have in our document. And then we're going to set the pages, skip pages. This right here is going to say, okay, enough, we're done, close it up. And that's it. Nothing more is going to be put on this document. So this statement is start this particular procedure. The results, put them in this particular PDF in this directory. This is everything we want. And now we're done. Close it up. And this will close, if you so choose, if you're, making multiple files that you'd like to have output, you're going to want to have this particular command run here. And what this does is this actually clears your results. So if you have a whole bunch of results going on, you can clear them all out. In any event, what this would end up resembling, assuming the code all executed correctly, so you would just run this all at once, the output result would be this. So this is our TEST.pdf, and it only contains one FREQ output table. And that is it. So this was just a basic introduction to this concept. If you're interested in learning more, you now have all the tools and understand all the appropriate options and nomenclature to do your own research. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And thank you, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care.